Mark, coming back at you again, and I hope you're having a fantastic day. Today, I wanted to write an email and make an accompanying video to talk about magnesium. So magnesium, I think, is one of the most underutilized nutrients in our bodies. I think it's one of those things that most of us are coming back deficient when I run lab work. So I'm seeing a lot of you when I run nutri-evals and these different types of blood panels. I'm seeing a lot of very, very low magnesium. There's a very crucial couple of reasons why. Number one, magnesium is burned like jet fuel when you're chronically stressed. So basically, we do this kind of little calculation based on what's your magnesium burn rate. And one of the biggest things is dietary stressors. So are you eating foods that you're intolerant to? Are you absorbing them correctly? But also looking at your levels of stress just from a regular day. So what do you go through in a run of a day that's going to cause you to burn more jet fuel? So for a lot of people, their magnesium burn rate is actually quite high. And it's very interesting to see that there's not a lot of times that we see most people putting magnesium back in enough quantity. So at the end of the day, I personally really like magnesium. I use a couple of different versions. I'm going to go through that with you in a second to tell you, when I use what versions of magnesium and what they're kind of used for, because not all magnesium is found equally in supplements. So number one, I will preface, you can certainly get magnesium from food. However, most of the foods that we're going to consume, we don't consume enough of to get that magnesium rich. The density of magnesium that we need is way higher than our food can supply. And that's not true for everybody. Most times when you fill the hole back in, you can kind of keep it there with your food. But for some of you that kind of have these no magnesium deficiency signs, you're going to need to kind of get more supplemental source of magnesium to kind of fill that void quickly. One of my favorite places to start with magnesium, if you've never supplemented before, is getting an Epsom salt bath. So that's magnesium sulfate. So magnesium sulfate is found in Epsom salts. I like to use about 2 cups of magnesium salts in a full, think of like a normal size bathtub. I know some of you have like those massive, massive soaker tubs. But at the end of the day, we're talking like a regular size bathtub that, I'm like 5'10", 5'11", and I can't lay down in it. My knees are kind of like, not up on my eyeballs, but you know what I mean by an average size bathtub. So I use 2 cups of magnesium salts per one of those cups, and the average time you want to soak is about 15 minutes. So if you haven't supplemented with magnesium before, start there. The second version that I like for magnesium, if you've never supplemented before, is called magnesium chloride. Magnesium chloride is usually used in a spray or a topical lotion. So I use these with some people as well that never supplemented before, or they're nervous about supplementing or adding different things in. Magnesium chloride is a great way to absorb magnesium as well. So magnesium chloride, you basically spray on highly absorbable parts of your body, like your armpit, like the inside of your legs, the back of your legs, the inside part of your elbow, those places that we absorb. We sweat a lot, basically are better sources for absorption places for magnesium. So magnesium chloride is that one. And then we'll talk about supplements, because again, not all supplements are created equal. So it's very interesting. Magnesium is rarely found in nature sitting by itself. It's usually bound to something else. And in the sense of what it's bound to, usually it's amino acids in the sense of what the magnesium is bound to in supplements. So we talk about different versions. People hear of magnesium citrate, magnesium malate, magnesium glycinate. They hear of, magnesium threonate. All these different things are kind of like the higher echelon of magnesium. There's other versions that I would kind of not really recommend, like magnesium aspartate. That's not really a very highly absorbable form. There's very specific function for that. So I've given that to a few of you. So don't say, well, you told me it's not good. There's very specific times that I actually like to use that. But for generalized, just generalized video, let's outline probably the top 5 sources of magnesium, maybe top 3 that I would use in clinic with somebody. So version number 1 that I use with almost everybody is magnesium glycinate. This is a very highly absorbable version of magnesium. It's absorbed about 80% in the gastrointestinal tract, which is a very, very high rate of absorption. I like to use a lot of that. So basically I use about 600 to 800 milligrams per day. Sometimes I've given people twice and 3 times that. Just depends on the person's need. That's magnesium glycinate. My go-to one, magnesium glycinate from Pure Encapsulations, is certainly my favorite one to use. Metagenics has a good one too. I like that one. Mag glycinate from Metagenics, very, very popular amongst my group. I find that Pure, though, just gives a bigger serving size, so it kind of lasts a bit longer. The next version is going to be magnesium malate. So magnesium malate, I'm going to find it for you here. Magnesium malate, I use it from Designs for Health. This is actually a new product line for my office. Magnesium malate, very, very good for those of you that struggle with fatigue. Interesting, the malic acid part of the magnesium malate, that malic acid, basically helps you with your energy production cycle, your Krebs cycle. It's very, very good at kind of targeting that type of area to help you produce a little bit more energy. Very, very good for those of you that are chronically fatigued or have, fatigue issues. Magnesium might certainly help you with that. Then we have the other ones that are going to be a little bit more detailed. So this one's called NeuroMag. This version is called magnesium threonate. So magnesium threonate is kind of the new kid on the block. It's been around for a little while, but not too long. But interestingly, mag threonate is proven to cross the blood-brain barrier readily, what that means is when you take it, it will absorb through your body and it can actually bypass the blood-brain barrier, so it can actually affect the old noggin up here, which is very interesting. There's a very specific time that I like this. There's a gene called COMT, C-O-M-T. And if I look at your genetic study, we can actually see that you might have that gene. And COMT, basically, you slowly break down things that stress you out. So if you're one of those people that find, like, I get stressed and I stay stressed the entire day, I can't seem to calm down after my stressful event, you might be mutated in that COMT gene, which is very, very common, I must add. And mag threonate has been proven to bypass the blood-brain barrier and might very well help you with that type of calm down response. So again, very, very good. Also being studied in heart issues right now. I'm not an expert up on the research with the heart, but at the end of the day, I know that it is being studied with some of those contraction issues with the heart. Magnesium citrate is going to be my next on the list. Mag citrate, for those of you, that one's from Douglas Laboratories. I also use Pure Encapsulations. They're kind of the same company. But mag citrate, very, very good for those of you that might struggle with using the bathroom or constipated. Magnesium citrate is known to kind of bring some of that water back to the intestinal environment, which might loosen the stool a little bit, and sometimes has it flow through the digestive tract a little bit easier. So if you're struggling with constipation, magnesium citrate might be your friend. The trick, if you're not struggling with constipation, is magnesium citrate will give you loosening stools. So you can't really take a very, very high dose of magnesium citrate without kind of experiencing some of those bowel issues. But for some of you, that might be what you need. So at the end of the day, I think magnesium is one of the most fantastic nutrients that's out there. The last version I'll mention to you is magnesium glycinate in liquid form. So I use a liquid form potentially for those that have very, very compromised gut issues. So if you have something like celiac or Crohn's or diverticulosis or something like that that's been majorly classified with your doctor, that's an absorption issue, I might use a liquid because it might be a bit better absorbed. And I also like the liquids for kids. So I use a liquid with my own kids. We basically use the little syringe. So we have a little syringe that we kind of pull like a little 1 milliliter in, and then just down the hatch like that. That's how we use it with our kids. So we have a bunch of different options for magnesium. But again, magnesium I think is crucial because it's responsible and involved in about 300 different enzymatic reactions that happen inside your body. And again, we burn through it like jet fuel. And unfortunately, chocolate is the best source of magnesium in nature that you can find. However, we're not eating the right types of chocolate. We're eating Cadbury milk chocolate and not the 90% cocoa, the one that kind of takes the saliva out of your mouth when you eat it. That's the one we should be getting for magnesium. But at the end of the day, we're not really eating a whole lot of that. So definitely want to make a video for you about magnesium. There's so many different types and so many different versions. I'm pretty well versed in using them all. I use a ton of magnesium every single week. I literally probably go through about 30 different bottles of magnesium per week. That's a lot for a small practice like I have. It's one of my favorite nutrients. I start almost every single person that comes to my practice on magnesium. So I'm going to put some links below so you can learn a little bit about the product lines that I'm using. And if you have any questions about them, you should certainly ask. And if you have any other concerns, don't hesitate to reach out. And I hope that you have a fantastic day, and I'll talk with you soon. Thanks.